Well, let's have a look, see if you can guess. There is underneath here an invisible paperclip. We open this up and we have this lovely accordion folder that you can keep different tags in, and then these two are two more mini hidden paper clips. And the reason I've made these as well is it's part of this little folder that I'm making, which opens up, and you can then remove these, remove this, remove this. It's just lots of different options really. So I'm going to show you how I made this one with these, and they make a nice little set, and you don't have to put them in a folder like this. You could do anything with them, and I just thought it was quite nice to have the whole set. So I'm going to show you how I made it. So we start with a piece of double-sided cardstock. This one's really nice. It's got this lovely old ledger on one side and a nice marbling effect on the other. So I'm going to have the marble on the outside and the ledger on the inside, and then I'm going to make some of these inner pockets, and I'll show you how I did all those as well. So let's start. I'd quite like to make it exactly the same, so it's just roughly measure. Okay, I'm going to cut down that line there, near enough. So not quite exactly the same, but nearly. Okay, so this is going to be my outside, and this size worked really well with the book pages, so I'm going to make it the same. So just getting a rough idea there. Just mark that with the pencil where I need to cut. Make sure I keep all these little pieces because I will need them all later. Now, depending on how many you're going to have inside, you might want to think about potentially making a bit of a spine. I'm going to stick with this amount because by the time you put things in, I think that's fine. It should be enough. Now I know I'm going to want rounded corners, so I'm going to cut those now. With this one, I used old book pages, and I felt that worked pretty well with this typography. This one has this old ledger, so I thought instead of using book pages, I will use this lovely old ledger scrapbooking paper to make my insides. It's not double-sided, so that's going to make a difference because obviously this one was. So I have to think about, when I'm making these, do I want my pattern on that side or on the inside? So I'm going to go for this outside. I will therefore need to think quite carefully about how I do the folding. Now, as luck would have it, this is pretty much the same size as the book pages, so that's going to make folding easy if I'm going to make them the same size. But even if they were slightly wider, as you can see, there's loads of space down the side of this. Obviously you can make this any size that you wish, and you can make your insert any size you wish. You may want to come right up here, or you may want to have a tiny little narrow one, or you could even have two side by side. Up to you. Now, when I did the book pages, because they were as good as identical, I used this line here as a fold, and you'll see in a second what I mean by that. So I'm going to have to do a lot of measuring this time. That's okay. Measuring's a bit scary because inevitably, no matter how carefully I measure, things don't quite go to plan, but we will do our best. What we need to do is make a pocket. So we are going to fold to a point make the crease and wrap over. So it makes sense that this flap is an easy to measure distance. So let's go for 1 centimetre. Let me go and find my ruler. I have carefully measured and I have determined that this fold should be in 1.5 centimetres and this is 8. And that makes a really nice little size to go in there. And I think that looks really nice. So I'm going to make the rest. Now, because this is very thin paper, it does take a little bit of being, holding this down. So I'm going to score 1.5 and 8. I mean, having a scoring mat does help, it has to be said. Okay, and then we can fold it in half. It's 2, and let's have a bit of variety. Now, each piece of paper is going to make 2 pockets, so bear that in mind when you're making them. So I've now got 6. You've got to think about how many are going to fit comfortably inside. So that was 6. So that's 3 pieces of book page made that, and I think that's ample. So I'm just going to stick with that. So we'll just and fold this. Okay, we're finished with the scoring mat for now. Get that out of the way. And now we're just going to glue down our flaps. We can glue that down onto there. This point, and to just check everything lines up, which it does, which is great. And now, if you wish, you can do a bit of grunging up, inking the edges. I do like to ink my edges, so I'm going to do that. And you are only going to see tops, the sides. Obviously you don't see the bottoms, you might want to do the sides. I always like to go to town on the corners. So what we're going to do now is we are going to start our gluing process. Grab your glue, and first of all we're going to stick each one to itself. So just take some glue and go from the middle and take it to the end. Now you just want glue in the middle, that's all. And you'll see it's starting. Okay, so let's quickly do the others. You can use any type of glue, but I would recommend probably not glue stick. Might not be strong enough. We've got some glue on there, don't know where that came from. Okay. Now you might want to decide whether or not you want to have rounded corners. That's the difference in the look. I quite like the rounded corners, so I'm going to go for rounded corners. Let's quickly do those. Should have done that before I inked. I'll have to go and do the edges again now. That was silly, wasn't it? Get the order right. Never mind, I'm sure you'll forgive me. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to stick each of these to the other one. So once again, down the middle we go. Make sure you get it the right way around. Yes. Carefully position. And that's the, okay, so we should now have our 6 pockets. Just make sure that nothing's glued to each other. There, and doesn't that look great on the outside? I really like that effect. You can always pop a clip on, hold it in place while it dries. I might do that. Okay. So it's going to fit in there, and we are going to glue this piece to this piece and this piece to this piece. I'm not going to glue it in just yet. The reason being is that when I was making this one, I glued it in straight away, and then I was thinking about maybe doing a different type of closure, maybe doing a closure like this one, where you wrap the string around. And if you're going to pop that in, you need to do that before you've put this inside, glued it inside. So that would just be my word of caution on choose wisely what your closure is going to be. On this one, I decided actually I was going to make the hidden paper clips, and we're going to do that here as well, but I just wanted to pause for a second so that it almost embeds in your mind that idea. Okay, so let's now think about our hidden paper clips. We'll make one a similar size to this. So we decide, no, I want this, I'm not going to have it match, I want this contrasting. So let's decide which bit of the card we want. Well, it would be a shame not to have this beautiful ledger piece on here. I think I'm going to cut down this line here, and I'm going to go to here. So that's my halfway point. Just mop up the pencil. Then we can measure how long we want it to be. So that is 8 centimeters. So I want 16 centimeters. Get me with my maths. 16 centimeters. And we're going to cut down this line here. So I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to round the corners off. And again. pop our paperclip on. Now we have this strip here. Here we have this piece. And use this strip here. So that's about what I want there. So let's just cut that. And do the corners. And that is going to sit on top of there. And we can decide where we want it to go. You could go over you could go this side, in the middle. I quite like it slightly off centre. Put it there. And then on these ones, just for a bit of interest, I cut some circles out of the other side. So I could cut something out where you get this really nice copper plate handwriting and pop those there. I think that would look pretty good. I need to make sure I keep some back because I need to make the other little tags. So let's glue this on now. It is going to need quite a bit of glue because we haven't got a lot of paper around the we haven't got a lot of paper around the paper clip, so we're going to need a lot of glue. Just make sure it's not crooked. Just doing one side at a time. Right, I'm going to cut a couple of circles out. You can make sure you get, what do I want, some text. Some text might be quite nice. Let's get some text. There we go. Naturally, I'm going to be grunging these up. Naturally. I could even get my smaller hole punch and get some from the other side. Pop that on top. Let's have a look. Probably won't do this, but we might as well just see what it looks like. Too much? I don't know where the other one went. It's from something else. Actually, the way I've positioned that, it looks like that's I could have done it with a reinforcement instead. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? With the two. Oh, happy accidents. How I love a happy accident. Okay. There. There. Oh yes, slightly off centre. There. And we can do something on the back if we want, or we can just leave that side. Just move that slightly. Let's do a reinforcement. Easy to do this one with glue stick. It's so fiddly. Just pop it on there. And then I'm going to line up that line. And if you can see, there's a tiny line. And line that up with that. There. So we've got our closure. That looks lovely. So now we're going to make the mini ones. Now, because these are so narrow, you can't really round the corners, so I'm just going to trim them off with scissors, just so that they're not completely sharp. So we've done the outside part, and now we want a very, very tiny little thin inside part. And we are using small paper clips for this one. Okay, and I want it to be about there. It's a big sigh from a dog in the background. He's probably trying to tell me it's dinner time. I do love working with these vintage style papers. I'm really pleased with how that looks. Okay, we get the old glue out again. Once again, we've got quite a narrow strip of paper to go over what is quite a thick paper clip. I don't know if you can see. I make sure that that bit really sticks. This should be good. That's the bulky side of the paper clip, that side. You might want to think about what side you want your thick bit. I'm going to put that on the back. And make sure you get, again, plenty of glue, particularly that bottom bit, which is really what it's going to seal in. And so this is my front. Actually, I want that side on the front. Picky. Now for the final embellishment, does it need a cutout so? I think it does. So let's cut a couple of these out, and we're going to be wanting some scripty bit. There we go. Okay, and we're going to put those on. Okay, I'm going to do it with the glue stick. Now, let's glue this bit on first. Does that look central to you? So this is glued nicely. We can now put this in glue. So we're going to do the same old glue trick with this. Glue it down. There's our closure, and there's our two little mini ones, should we wish to attach it to anything else. So let's have a look inside there. Isn't that fabulous? Doesn't that look great? I am so happy with this.